we talk about is surrender a weakness or a strength? Surrendering is about taking ownership of your own power and choosing what you want to do or don't want to do. Did you do it that way or did you do it differently? Like, it's okay. And it's surrendering is right here, right now, it's being. It's just being.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome. Welcome, listeners. This is Debz Cooper with Moira from Deliciously Motivated Mindset. Yeah, with Debz and Moira. I just had to giggle because it was my turn to do the intro, and Moira's nodding. Yes, we're on.
Yes,
okay,
we're
right.
on. We're recording's on.
We're ready. We're ready. Welcome. Hi, Moira.
Hello, dear Deb. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Well, just from our previous 30-second conversation before we went on this call. Trying to pull it back together.
Yeah, a wee bit giggly here.
It's all
good. It's all good.
Yeah, a little bit healthy.
Absolutely.
So welcome, listeners. And I'm sure we say this every time. Today's a goodie. We just talked about the topics of what we're talking about the next couple of weeks, and it's exciting. But if anybody has any idea of something or a question they would love us to cover, because clearly Moira and I have a different skill set, but have a similar skill set that we can talk about anything. If you would like a question answered or anything, you're welcome to private message us or like us to talk about something, or just private message us or bang it in the Facebook page. Absolutely. Or anything, whatever suits you, because we are open to resolving glitches in your world, and that's what we love to do. And if we can do that in a podcast to share that with lots of people, then we're all for it. Definitely.
Absolutely, because something that's really important in there is that there is no dumb question. And if you are thinking it or wondering it, there's other people that can benefit from whatever we steer that that into.
We forget that for some people, when you're at an event and someone asks you a question and then someone goes, oh, for God's sake, she's just covered that. But then the person to the other side of them goes, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about that question. And you're like, did you just not hear her answer that before? And so we do all hear things differently. So you're not the only one with that question, that quality question.
That's right. That's right. We love questions. Love questions.
So let's rate ourselves.
Okay.
So what we do is we go from 0 being a neutral place, sitting in your heart, present, no fear of the future, no pissed off withness with the past, just sitting and everything's okay and accepting. And then 10 is, I reference it rocking in the corner, doesn't necessarily have to be rocking in the corner, but number 10 is absolutely chaotic. Don't even know why I'm listening to this podcast. I've got a million things to do. I don't have time for anything. I don't even have time to breathe.
Yep. To
the extent. Know that your 10 is different to Moira's 10, which is different to my 10, which is different to everybody's 10 to 0. And I'm going to go first.
Okay, you go first.
I'm actually going to say I'm a 0.5. I'm going to say I'm a 0.5 because we've just done an amazing podcast, which is going to come out clearly, and we're just doing another one, and we just had a real light banter in between that was so random, and it just really, it brought joy into my world and made me just go, yeah, this is super cool that I get to have this opportunity, and grateful that I get to share this with a friend in Canada who I only a year or so ago only met.
Met on my birthday. We met on my birthday. Yeah.
That's right, we did too.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and I ate bread and I regretted it that night, but that's what I remember. And the food took so long to come, but the company was amazing. Amazing. So I'm going to say I'm a 0.5 because I would probably even say I was a 0, but I'll just control that down to a 0.5. So that's where I'm at. And so where are you, Moira?
Well, I love that, because as I was listening to you and getting ready for the conversation that we're about to have, I was thinking, I'm actually pretty much at a 0, but then I'm like, well, where am I going to go from there? So I'm at a 0.5 too.
So we're actually both at zeros, but we're lying to everybody, saying we're at 0.5.
Because we want to have some wee bit of maneuver here.
Yeah. Oh, so that's actually a perfect one as we say that because of our title today.
Absolutely. That's funny.
No,
there's no accident here.
No. So today's title is Surrender, a Weakness or a Strength?
Mm.
So is surrender a weakness or a strength? And as I think about that, we were both clearly zeros, and we're like, oh, we better do a 0.5 so we can go up. So were we surrendering to what other people thought we should be? But it's not. I don't believe that. It's our own internal going, oh, I want to keep improving. So if I go to a 0, then there's no room for improvement. So am I surrendering to my old core belief that if I get to a 0, there's no room for improvement? Or
that's a really good point.
0 longer?
That's a really good point, because really, what's wrong with being 0 and just for us to always come on and say, hey, I'm a 0.
I'm changing mine to a 0, and you are too.
That's it. We're at 0. Well, because I'm thinking about conversations I've had with my coach, that why not just hang out at neutral? It's a pretty awesome space to be. And so to your point is that just because I'm at a 0, what feels like a 0 in one moment may not be exactly what it is the next day, right? How much joy can I have when I'm sitting at 0? Well, there's no measurement there.
And how long can you maintain that 0? So if we, at the end of this call, we're both at 0, that's fantastic. But if we're not, it's still fantastic.
It's still fine. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's interesting. So are we surrendering to what? From being that 0.5 to a 0. So tell me, what is surrender? Before we go, is it a weakness or a strength? What is surrender?
To me, surrender is letting go. You know that I'm all about the letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go. So to me, surrender it's very much based in that sitting at a 0 or being neutral and recognizing what are the things for me to do, what are the things for me not to do, and what are the things for me to give up and give over to a higher power or to somebody else, or it's not for me to deal with right now. To me, that's what surrender is total recognition of what is my responsibility and duty or things that I need to do right here, right now, and letting go of everything else. How often do you hear of people saying, I have to take care of this, and then I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do that? Well, none of those other things are right here. Yeah. So how about just focus on right now, all that matters to me right in this point, at this point, is having a conversation with you, Deb. So if there is any propensity to that says, oh, what time is it? I have to do this, and I have another call coming in, and did I remember to ask that question, and did I do this email? None. I have to surrender all of that to that's not here. It's not part of what's going on in this conversation.
Yeah, and it's so surrender to the sun shining in.
Yes. There, don't you look so cool?
I look like Yeah, I won't say it. At least I can see you now.
Like a movie star.
Yeah. So, so surrendering is about taking ownership of your own power and choosing what you want to do or don't want to do. And knowing that your choice, it's a whole thing of you use the best tool you have right here, right now is the best. 5 years ago, when you had the same circumstance come up, did you do it that way or did you do it differently? Like, it's okay. And it's surrendering is right here, right now, it's being. It's just being.
It is just being. Absolutely. It's being, and from a space of being like an intrigued, interested observer. Because I'm thinking, like you were just, yeah. So just thinking about, like, let's say I'm dealing with a similar situation to something that I had to deal with a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing it here, it's bringing up some kind of emotion. Let's just say it's bringing up some kind of sadness in me. And then if I don't surrender into this right here, right now, this is a sadness, and I can be interested, like, oh, what's this teaching me? What do I need to do with this in this moment? All too often people will judge that, and they'll go into the past. Well, the last time this happened, this is how it felt, and this is what I did, and so therefore what's wrong with me because I can't, or I'm not. It's like that. That's the stuff that we surrender. We surrender the need to justify, to explain, to use lots of words, to tell a story. That's kind of where I'm coming from about this surrender. I surrender that, no, right here, right now, is what I'm feeling. Right.
And yes, and with that there is, I sometimes surrender is I don't have to do anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Going, okay, I surrender, but in the past, I would do it this way. What am I going to change? Actually, just sit. Mm-hmm. Just sit and be, and just swallow up whatever's happening around you and feel it.
Yeah.
Because if you go in and resolve as quick as you can, which I love to do, resolve as quick as you can, you're going to miss certain key aspects. But if you can sit and feel and go, wow, this has really brought up this emotion, I wouldn't have thought that, or this has really brought up the amount of support that I get from my family, I didn't know that, or this is bringing up how much I really think about this certain thing that's happening, and it's really ethically wrong, or whatever it is. Sit and feel before you jump into strategy mode. Sit and feel, because sitting and feeling is a part of surrender.
Absolutely.
Instead of just going, I give up, or I give up to then resolve, just sit and feel and see the bigger picture of what's truly happening to you.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Deb, because I think that all too often people think that when we say surrender, that it means they're sticking their hands up and saying, I'm out.
Giving up. They're giving up.
Yeah. Surrender is never giving up. Surrender is acknowledging when it is time to just sit and breathe, just be, like you said, and knowing when it is to take action, to get up out of your chair and do something. But when we live in flow and in surrender, we still keep coming back to, is this the right choice?
And that's okay.
Yeah. It's important to do that.
And I think that's the other thing is people, it is that hands in the air, I give up. I just give up. I'm surrendering. Actually, You're not surrendering. You're just ready to go to the next level of whatever's going to be. So right now, just take a moment, pause, breathe. So that's surrender. Then feel before you move on.
Absolutely. But here's an interesting thing that I thought when you just said that is, I would challenge anybody who gets to that point of hand in the air, screw it, that's it, I'm out, not, I'm uncle, don't want to do this anymore. Is that the truth? Is that really the truth?
No, that's your effing frustration.
Exactly. Exactly, because there's this massive story going on, and you're probably feeling really irritated and maybe even finger pointing. It's all because of you people won't do it the way I need you to, or right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can think of, and I'm getting a flash of my dad used to do that. My dad used to do that. I surrender. I'm not doing this anymore. But then the truth with him was it never was the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because he really did care, or he really did want you to do it this way, or it really did matter to him. So to me, I think there's two vibes with surrender, and it's the higher level of it that I think we're talking about. It's that to me, and so that's why I'm saying I believe it's an extremely important strength for us to cultivate.
I think surrendering is, when we hear the word. So even when we talked about the subject, even the word surrender. I don't recall us thinking of this subject, but even the word surrender, I just go hands in the air.
Right.
And that's and I guess that's probably the police. I surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Hands in the air.
Yep.
You haven't surrendered. You've just bought yourself more time to assess what's the wisest way forward on this.
But you've also admitted to yourself, what is my responsibility? What is there for me to do? And what is there for me to give up to a higher purpose, or to a higher power, or to somebody else? Like, an analogy of it is, both Deb, you and I run our own business.
Mm-hmm.
If there's certain things, like I think about, I do a lot of my own website stuff. I'm a bit of a power user, but there's certain places where there's certain things have broken over the years that I just recognize this is surrender time. Because I do have a guy that and he knows this, when I reach out, it's kind of like, because I've checked all the different things.
Put your hands in the air.
Well, but you see, this is what I'm saying, is that I go and do all the things that I know to do, and then it's not for me to resolve. So it's not me giving up. I still need this problem fixed, but I surrender to the fact that I need to gift this over to somebody who has the tools, who has the wisdom and the awareness of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think surrender, and we talk about is surrender a weakness or a strength, it's just about taking a breather. It's just about taking a pause. It's just about taking a moment to and then assess. Absolutely.
Assess and then take ownership. You do what's right for you.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. And it's just about what is best for you at the time you have right here. But yesterday's surrender is different to tomorrow's surrender.
It's always moving. Like it's to tap into that flow that helps us navigate when is it that you do something and when is it that you give it up to somebody else to provide it for you, or that it's not for you to resolve or figure out, right?
Yeah. And I think that's exactly it. So you don't have to be the resolver for everything.
Exactly. Technically speaking, you, like the bigger part of you, that idea that often gets spoken about, that we are all connected, we're all one. Well, maybe it's a different version of the one that needs to do this part. I'm going to surrender to that.
Yeah, what is that one? So when we think about it, so is surrender a weakness or a strength? There's clearly some things, but so tell me, what's the weakness of surrender? Because I know what I'm going to say the answer is it a weakness or a strength? And I'm sure the listeners are thinking the same thing, but I'm just going to go down the angle of surrendering being a weakness.
Okay, so I have an example of that. This is actually many, many years ago, where I was involved in a group. It was a self-empowerment group. And I was giving a presentation about taking ownership for what it was ours, for developing healthy habits and dealing with stuff like limiting beliefs and limiting habits, unhealthy habits. Now, I always remember the guy in this group who said to me, I've just surrendered to a higher power. To God, he was saying he'd surrendered to higher power. He'd just been saved. So therefore, he did not have to do anything. Now that to me is a prime example of this surrender being a weakness, because it's great to surrender to a higher power. I think we all need to do that. But that does not mean you just sit in your chair, arms folded, and it's all going to figure itself out without you doing anything.
Wow. I'm challenged by him. That's a surrender. That's a real surrender, like a surrender and not accountability.
Exactly.
And just giving over your life, your world to something.
Exactly. To something, and then not realizing that that something that you're giving it over is actually a version of you.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
Right? This whole idea of we're all connected. We are all sparks of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm saying, I give myself over to that, I am the physical representation of that. So therefore, I do have to get up and do something. Go for the walk, do some exercise, overcome unhealthy addictions.
Well, you're no longer in control of your world. If you I understand giving it to the higher power, but also I believe I am a part of higher power, which is, I mean, you go down that path, and that's a whole new podcast. In fact, that's probably about 10 podcasts in one.
Exactly.
But I just feel that's not there. That's definitely not healthy. I've gone into incredible judgment, going, wow, and then I've tried to take ownership of where have I just handed stuff over to a higher power. And I guess a higher power could be my boss and just said, well, you resolve it. It could be seen as that as well. But I feel we put so much on our knowledge and on who we are as a person that we carry an incredible amount of baggage and heaviness in our heart and in our head, and empathy towards other people when we don't look after ourselves more. So surrendering being a weakness, unless you actually are aware and take it on, then definitely it's a weakness, because it is I'm blown away by that guy. Wow, even just going, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know there's people I'm just going to have to take ownership of that, because I'm quite charged on that one now.
Oh dear.
But if I said that too, if I go into that, I have listened. If I looked at the higher power being a CEO of a business, I've listened to them, and I've had to surrender and had to apologize to people I feel that they've done me wrong, and I've only just said sorry to keep my job or anything like that. So I guess, so I've definitely surrendered to a different authoritative figure.
From a space of surrendering as a weakness, you mean?
Yeah. Whereas someone said, you need to, even growing up with children, you need to say sorry because you hit that kid. Well, I don't want to say sorry because that kid hit me first. And so then I hit back. But you need to say sorry, be the better person. I don't want to be the better person. They hit me first. Right. And then you've had to say it. So that's surrendering to your parents, to an outside authority, because you're not going to get dinner that night. Sorry.
There's the condition.
Food, yeah. So that is definitely surrendering to what someone else is telling you is definitely a weakness, I would say.
Yes, absolutely, because the crucial part here, and this is, we've had other conversations about confidence and self-worth, but the key piece here is when we surrender or give in to the opinion of somebody else or the judgment of somebody else, we are actually denying what's right for us.
Our core. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not right for anybody to tell you who you are, who you can and can't be. But having said that, so you surrender the judgment of another person.
But then we also ourselves, it's not our place to tell Moira, you need to do this.
That's right.
Moira, you need to do this. It's not for us as well. And so that's us. I just go back to that sorry, because I was brought up on sorry. You need to say sorry.
Right.
And I was constantly told to say sorry, and I was constantly, nope,
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry I hit that kid, because they hit me first, and I just happened to get a really big one in that caused more damage than their one. That's a bonus to me. No, Deborah, it's not. Yes, it is. And just for the reason, I'm not a thug, but if you hit me, I probably would have hit you back. I would have. But it is that conditioning that we have from our parents that have told us to do certain things and certain ways, and without us even knowing we're doing it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it is surrendering, and sometimes we do things surrender to keep the peace.
Yeah.
It's much easier to say sorry to mum and dad, even though you don't mean it, so I can get dinner that night.
Right. But the other thing that just popped into my mind as we're saying this, though, is that as we evolve and as we mature into adults, for me, I am always very careful who I share specific pieces about me, about who I am, or my intentions, or my dreams, or my goals. Because if I choose to speak to somebody that I know is going to say, oh, you can't do that, then that's actually me that created that. So I don't want to surrender my joy or surrender my intentions to anything. And that's so it's actually, it's a double-edged thing here, because so I surrender to the guidance that I have within me, but I also surrender that I do not need to share this with anyone unless I know that you're a trusted confidant, source. That we're on the same wavelength. Because, and actually that's a Napoleon Hill-ism, that when we have sacred things that we want to achieve or create, it's very important for us to only share that with people that see us, that say, yeah, you can do this. Because if we get into telling like a parent or a critic that says, oh gosh, you'll never do that, you just gave away your power.
I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about that, being a child saying sorry, because we say sorry, share. I don't want to share. They're going to ruin my, and you're surrendering because that authoritative figure says that. And I'm like, gosh, we have that growing up, and then we have that as an adult. If you don't like what the government is doing, if you don't like the politics around, then move countries. If you don't like your partner for doing certain things, then walk away. Or, well, clearly there's work that has to be done before you walk away. But, if you don't like that stuff and it doesn't sit with who you are, like, you align yourself with people and things that bring you joy. But if it's not, then do something about it. But shut up.
Yeah, so surrender the need to make it anybody else's fault, because it's always remembering you chose yourself to be there.
You chose to live in that country. You chose to live in that house that's leaking or doing whatever. You chose to stay in that relationship where that person's doing that. You chose.
Exactly.
So don't try and bring people, I guess, onto your crazy train. I say crazy train because we've all got a crazy train. But don't try and bring people onto your train. You make your own assumptions and your own choices, and you do what's best for you.
That's right. And surrender the need to, I'm going to come back to that thing again, is that when we have to have lots of words to justify or explain or make it sort of palatable why we're in a situation or why we're listening to somebody or not listening to somebody, the more words that we have to use to justify it or explain it, the more it's a sign that you need to surrender to what's the truth for you.
That's interesting you say, because I was sending an email back to somebody last night. I was like, and I deleted it 4 times.
Wow.
And because I was justifying.
Right.
I was like, how dare you?
Yes.
And I went, nope, wipe it out, start again. And it was, and that was typing like this. It was like, as quick as I could. And it wasn't till the last one, I replied back, thank you for your observation.
Right. And that's a beautiful example. But here's the key piece there, though. It was good for you to do that, because you had to vent. You had to go. Bleh,
I had a lot. I was a fast typist. And I read it and went, uh-oh, whoop. And I went it out and I went, and then I went, whoop. And I went, be a little bit nicer. And it was justifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went, that this is their stuff. And,
right.
and yeah, it was. And it was probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was, but and then it was like, actually, you know what? Thank them for speaking up, for saying their truth, for doing whatever. You don't have to buy into that.
Mm-hmm.
You agree or you disagree. Surrender and, I agree or disagree, and just thank them for their observation.
And that's such a beautiful, beautiful example of surrender as a strength. Because you had to go through your...
Oh, I had to go through my...
You have to, absolutely. But then you surrender to what is the truth, what really needs to be said, and you did it. That's super powerful. Because now you can tell me that and share that with our listeners, but it's a story. You don't have a lot of emotional charge on it anymore because it's done.
No, so all I did was I cut that tie. I cut their emotion out. However they receive that, thank you for, they can...
It's not your business anymore. Yeah.
No, it's nothing to do. That's it. I thank them for alerting me to stuff. That's it. And now I can walk away guilt-free, shame-free, and just know it's done. And I don't have to deal with it anymore. And if they come back and say something, that's their stuff. And, it's... Yeah.
I would take that even one step further, though, because I think just by you doing that, and perhaps this is what happens when we step into the strength, surrender as a strength, that we actually up-level our own consciousness. And so if that person's going to react, that's at that lower level of consciousness, you're not there anymore.
No, so, and I believe what I sent, when I sent it, I was at that neutral point. I was at that 0.
Good.
Because if I sent that, I was at a 12 out of 10. And then I went to an 8. And then I went to a 7. Slowly. But I was definitely out of the realm of rationalizing. But as I did that whole get it out, thank goodness I learned to take the top part out just in case, because we all know we've sent text messages and gone, no, or an email, no,
recall.
Yeah, as quick as you can. And when someone says they're recalling an email, you so have to read it.
Absolutely.
Read. But as soon as I said that, I energetically just went, it's done. So that person who received that email, I would like to think that they went, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
There's no, they would have felt that neutral energy that I sent it, because I didn't send it emotionally charged. I just sent it as is. This is it. Thank you. What more can you come back with thank you? Well, actually, it's like, oh, okay, well, you obviously didn't pick up the energy that I sent it as neutral.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to say about the different levels of consciousness, right? Because if a person is sitting at anger and you said something when you were at neutral, well, you're talking to the neutral version of them, which the anger part would only communicate to the anger part of you.
Yeah, because we know when you argue with somebody that you're fire versus fire, and who wins? No one. There's a burning, and it's a burning. So the moment someone's throwing fires at you, the best thing you can do is surrender, is actually just be neutral. Be as quick as you can to neutral and see the bigger picture of the issue and what's really going on.
Absolutely. And I think you hit something really important there, the bigger picture. Because if we get to a space of acknowledging that everybody's doing the best they can, where they're at with what's going on, and we don't take things personally, right?
And say that again slower, because we forget that. Say that again slower, Moira.
What did I just say?
Everyone's doing the best they can.
Right, with what they've got.
Right now.
Right, yeah, right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right here, right now.
Right now. That's all we can ask for, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's with what they know, what they have, where they're at. And we have no right to judge that. We have no right to say that's good or bad, up or down, right or wrong. No. It just is. That's where they're at. And so then if we can acknowledge that everybody's doing that and really, really acknowledge that that's what we're doing too, then there's no room for you did this, you screwed this up, you're bad, we can just take all of that off the table. That's part of surrender too. Surrendering to what
that's the strength. Yeah, that's the strength. And our weakness is just beating ourselves up, going over and over and over again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beating ourselves up, saying the woulda, coulda, shoulda, right?
Oh, if only I did it this way. If only I did that. Well, you didn't. Okay.
Yeah. Get over it. Get over it. Done. It's done.
Yeah. Surrender. It's done.
but so this is, like I said to you, that surrender is the key theme of my own system called the Letting Go Guidance System, because I think that is a thing. It's a recognizing that we are actually becoming who we're becoming. Actually, I have a quote stuck on my desk right here. The quote says, "You are who you want to become."
Oh.
Isn't that a beautiful thing to surrender to?
Yeah.
If I already am who I want to become, then I don't need to get caught up in I should have done it better, and that was dreadful, and that I screwed that up, and that's bad. I've used that word a fair bit this time. That's not okay.
Nah.
But do you see that? So then I just get to surrender to, well, isn't this an interesting ride? How is this going to play out? Because if I can let go of, I don't need to sweat it. I am already who I'm becoming. Now I get to have fun. I get to say, where's the joy today? Where's the sense of play? Where's the fun? That's it.
Yeah. You're doing what's right for you, that sits in your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Aligning with my own calling.
Wow. Is surrender a weakness or a strength?
So for me, definitely surrender is an amazingly powerful strength that we could all do with cultivating just a little bit more during these times.
Well, it went interesting because this has been a really interesting talk, a really interesting podcast of where we're at and what surrender really means.
Absolutely. I think it's important to really dive into the meaning of words. Words have so much power. Yeah,
and our core beliefs, because those words have stuck from something.
Yes.
The Velcro.
The Velcro. Yes. Got to unstick that Velcro.
Yeah. Wow. I just keep reading my word. Is surrender a weakness or a strength? Okay. It's an interesting one.
It was an interesting one. We might need to come back and do a part 2 on this one. We shall see.
Let us know if you'd like a part 2.
Yeah. But this is wrapping this one up. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. But let's just check back in on a scale of 0 to 10. Where would you put yourself? I'm going to go first. I'm still at a 0.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm in a 0, but I'm also thinking, I'm actually going to say I'm a 0.5 because I'm now going, what do I need to surrender to that I'm holding on to, that I'm being an a-hole to? What's my ego making me go, I know more than you?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to jump back. I'm going to jump to a 1
Okay.
because it's making me go, what's wise for me to let go, to surrender to, that the a-hole in me is holding on to.
You'll have to keep
Yeah,
us
Moira,
posted.
you've taken me back. Hang on, that's not how it
Apologies, not really.
That's an interesting, I'm going to go back. I feel neutral, but I know there's more work to do.
That you want to go dive into. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now going to look at that one.
No, that's awesome.
And as I say that, I actually feel okay that I've gone back.
Good.
I feel like going, oh my gosh, listeners, I didn't take you to the next level. I've actually gone back.
Right. So it's not, so that's awesome. I love that. That to me is a confirmation that that's the right thing. It's okay. Totally okay. I love that.
Oh, wow. Wow. There you go. Thank you.
My pleasure. This has been an awesome conversation. Yeah. There is always stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, dear Deb. Thank you, dear listeners. Please let us know how this goes for you. And as we've said to you before, if there's any questions or there's something you want us to go in deeper or some kind of question you'd love us to riff on, just let us know. You can privately message us or put a comment in our Facebook group page.
Perfecto.
Thank you, dear Deb. Thanks, listeners.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.